listening to pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 195. Automaton Middle Man. For all of our lives, we have lived our lives, taken for granted certain structures. We have learned that people organize in different ways. We have learned that whenever we want to do something, whenever we want to participate, whenever we want to organize as a group, we do so within certain social structures. We have a financial system, economic system, that we understand in a certain way. We know that some people are owners, some people are workers. And we know that there are layers of people. We know that there might be an owner of something and a producer of the same thing and a consumer of the same thing. But no matter what structure we are talking about, every and any structure are built upon relationships between people. So we are used to structures such as free trade and companies. We are used to authorities and departments of government having different areas of responsibility. We are used to no matter what we do, that if I want something or I want to achieve something, I go and talk to a person who knows about what I'm looking for. And that person, in turn, might be going to another person. And like that, we form links. Many links. And together we become a structure. Today's episode is called Automaton Middle Man. So we're talking about two things today, which when we combine them becomes sort of like us looking into our shared future So if we look at first, what is an automaton? An automaton is any device, any invention that is doing something without the help of a person. So, for example, an early version of an automaton is the mechanical clock. So we just wind up the spring in the clock, and then for the longest time the clock becomes an automaton. It has the ability to sort of tick every second and give whoever is looking at the clock a measure of time. Another kind of automaton later in history are engines, steam and combustion engines. So we just put in some coal and light the fire in the engine, and then we can see how the train, let's say a train, starts moving seemingly on its own, and the train becomes an automaton, and whoever gets on board the train can be transported thanks to an automaton. And in our day and age, now automatons are becoming very common for basically every area of life. And in our day, we have known our automatons, which are computers. They have the same capacity to automatically do tasks without any human help. And now we all are very worried, or maybe excited, about that new automatons are being invented and applied in a very extensive manner. So now we have AI, artificial intelligence, and we have autonomous vehicles being called self-driving cars, but in reality more resembling horizontal elevators. And we have autonomous robots also. Robots that are automatons. They are conducting all sorts of tasks without the help of any people. So we are seeing such extensive automaton development being made now that this will change drastically how we as people organize. What we have learned, what we have known about how we organize as people is now changing, and changing drastically. So now we talked about the first part of today's title, the automaton, and then we move on to the middleman. Why is the middleman interesting? Well, in any kind of organization or institution, we have different layers of people. So we have the top layer, we have middle layers, and we have the bottom layers. And without sort of imposing any morality in it, this seems to be how people have organized since forever, in different vertical layers of both responsibility and influence. So we have the owners at the top, and then we have some bosses and middle management, and then we have the workers, and then at the bottom we have the have-nots. And talking about this middleman position, what we have known as the middleman in our lifetimes has been government, the staff of companies, people employed in different institutions, people employed in schools, in law and order, in healthcare, infrastructure, food production, all kinds of things. And now, what is being rolled out, it will start in America, and then it will, the rest of the world will follow. What is now being rolled out is that many of these middlemen, middle positions in how we organize, will be replaced with automatons, will be replaced with AI, autonomous vehicles, and robots. And this brings us to today's Polaroid, the emotional skill of today, which is specific skill listening. Listening is under our worn out situation. And it is about that whenever we do not have listening back and forth between each other, then we will be worn out. When there is no sort of communication going on between you and me, we will become very stressed, and we will feel very bad. And now, when much of the middlemen in our organizational structures throughout society is being piece by piece replaced by automatons, non-human middlemen, then we will have breaks in all these links between people. So we will have people, if we talk vertical for a moment, We will have people at the top, and then we will have a lot of layers of middlemen being automatons. And then underneath all the non-human middlemen, we will have the great bulk of regular people, such as you and me. So now we enter an age when our organizational structure throughout society is not between person and person and person, but where there are these breaks in the links, where there are automatons instead. So we will isolate people from people in a way that has never been done before throughout history. And economically, this makes a lot of sense. People will be able to get very rich from applying automatons throughout society. Short term, that is. But the thing is, with specific skill listening and with our worn out situation, is that it doesn't matter where you are in the structure. It does not matter. You can be at the bottom of the structure, or you can be at the top of the structure. But if you have this middle layer of automatons, the person at the bottom and the person at the top will feel equally worn out, because the communication is no longer there. The listening is cut off. So this will truly change a lot about our life predicament. It will change a lot for us regular people in the lower layers, and it will change equally much for the people close to the top. They probably don't think that right now, but it will. On a soul level, it will wear them out just as much as it does us. Financially, no. They will become very rich, and we will become poorer. But emotionally, we will all be equally worn out, because we are disconnected. We are cut off from one another, isolated. In bringing these automatons into society, we are grossly underestimating how important, although it may be subconsciously, how important these interactions we have are. That when we organize person to person to person in these links, in these structures, in this financial system, it makes the biggest difference that we are creating things together as people. But now, when automatons will take over much of the middle management, it will make us all feel more lonely. Profoundly lonely. And yes, we might produce the same goods. They might even be of higher quality than they were before. the automatons. But it will not be the same. It will not be the same because we have not done it together. We have done it in this sort of cut-off manner. So when we talk about these automatons revolutionizing our society, when we talk about AI and autonomous vehicles and robots, we usually focus on how much they can make production more effective, what new kinds of goods can be produced, and how much money we can make. But none of that really matters if we feel cut off from one another while doing it. It's not really worth anything. It's false improvement. It's it's just smoke. Doesn't mean anything. It's not the real thing. Not for us in the lower layers, and not for the people at the top. It will just feel indifferent. So we will see a lot of perfected goods, but with an indifferent feeling to them. That's what we will feel and see. So at least what we can do is to, as much as we can, try to minimize how close we bring in these automatons into our lives. To have as much areas as we can, as many areas as we can, free from automatons if we can. Because every area we bring in an automaton in our close life, our personal life, we will feel increasingly worn out and increasingly lonely. So it's time to screw our heads on right and be careful about making decisions about automatons. They will affect so much. That's it for today. Thank you.